In all, there were 5 of them. They had only one thing in common: a hatred of Governor Odious.
You can't stop there.
So this was your call, The Fall. Your hipster stash, your movie that was... You were into it before it was cool because it was never cool. No one's heard of this movie. I hadn't heard of this movie. The Fall. Bam.
Immediately, that's what I always pick. It was even presented, meaning they lent their names to it. Yes. Spike Jonze and David Fincher.
How'd you hurt your arm?
My fell.
Me too. Close your eyes. I'm gonna tell you a story. A tale of love and revenge. He knew that she was the woman he was supposed to love.
That Fincher, Jones, and Tarsem. He gets shit for only making his credit as Tarsem and not Tarsem Singh something else. There's more to it. Apparently the reason he does it is because it looks cleaner. It's just the visual. He just wants the visual.
Cher.
Tarsem.
Madonna.
But this is a crew of music video, commercials, very visual directors who then Hollywood's like, hey, these guys made cool Coke commercials. Let's have them direct movies. The Fall doesn't get distributed at all. Like,
I think I saw it in theaters. I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters.
Really? In 08?
Yes.
Because it's listed as an 06 film.
That's right.
But I think it's just like in a film festival in 06, and then it was like, couldn't do anything with it. It's not till 08 that it gets a tiny run. It makes like $3 million. So you're in the $3 million.
Yeah.
Maryville?
No, I would not have seen it in Maryville. Probably traveled to Kansas City to see it. Probably based on Fincher and Spike Jonze lending their name to it. So they got me in the theater. I was blown away by the visuals. Tarsem claims that they're all just practical and in effect shots with...
There's some that it's like, how is this a practical? Like the map. I don't know how that's
the
practical.
map, and then when the butterfly turns into the island. And he says that
it's
everything...
just a fade?
Yeah, it's just a computer-assisted fade. So he didn't use any green screens. Everything is in camera, essentially. Or when the priest's face, like, cuts to like the environment. I mean, I'm kind of blown away just thinking about it again.
They went and moved shit.
Oh no.
We're gonna give you a primer. This is what you need to know about the film before you watch it. Tips, pointers, how to watch it, what you need to know. No spoilers. So what do you need to know before you watch it? My first point is pay attention in the title sequence.
Yeah.
Usually in the title sequence, I'm like, get a drink, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. This is like, serious plot development happens without words. You gotta pay attention.
Yeah, black and white, details why our main character's at the hospital.
This movie will not spoon feed you at all. This is, I feel like the average movie spoon feeds the shit out of you, and then a movie comes along with a spork, and it's just a little bit harder, and people lose their shit. This movie is feeding you with a knife. It's like, you've got to do a lot of the work here. There's a lot of moments where I'm like, I think this is what's happening, but I'm not positive because no one came out and said, well, he's trying to... Oh, okay. But if you have an inkling of what's going on, that's probably what's going on.
You can really just bask in the visuals sometimes.
This movie is fantastic to look at. Very, very visual. If you're not intrigued or entertained by the visuals, you just turn it off.
And they are all real places. Like
all real This is the climbing Mount Everest of location scouting.
Once I was Lady Evelyn Everhart.
It takes place in like 25 different countries or something, while Tarsem is making music videos.
The number varies wildly.
Yeah,
some sources say 18 and some say 34.
Right, yeah.
There's every number in between. I tried to count myself. In the commentary, they're like mentioning countries, and I was just like, there's not a real answer. There's a montage where you just see 2 seconds of like the Eiffel Tower. It's like, are we counting that, I guess? So Tarsem Singh, the director, was a music video commercials director. He directed the Losing My Religion music video for REM, which is his first professional shoot. He's flying around the world, scouting and shooting in the desert of Namibia for a Pepsi commercial, and this for like, I think it's 18 years. There's different numbers. I think
I saw 17, 18.
Yeah, some number of years. Every time he's he's like, oh well, they're flying me to Bali to shoot this Taco Bell commercial, and he like figures out all these locations, and then
many of them are hundreds of years old.
Yeah,
like these giant MC Escher steps.
One day, finally, they're like, well, let's go film this and fly. I was like, oh, you're getting shots while you're working for 18. It was like, no, but then you have to have all the actors go to these places. Like, you had to just fly your actors around the world. That's where the budget of this movie is.
Yeah, and it's mostly from his own pocket. He makes millions.
I think entirely.
Yeah, he makes millions.
Funding.
And then he flies out as actors to all these locations, like the Blue City, and he just gives the inhabitants like free blue paint. Hey.
Well, and I think it's a law there that you can only paint your house blue. Mm-hmm. And he said, I went there and I said, I'll buy you any color of paint you want. And they're like, well,
there's one choice.
It has to be blue. This labor of love, 18 years of location scouting, looks incredible. 2 different stories going on. It's, this is a frame tale. Lee Pace is telling the story to, I guess I said the actor's name. So Catinca is the little girl.
Mm-hmm. She didn't know English.
What?
The Eucharist, the thing you gave me, it saves your soul.
The thing I gave you, what?
The little piece of bread that you just gave me, it saves your soul. Are you worried about me?
What? What?
Saves your soul.
They pretty much fed her line by line to try to keep it spontaneous.
I'm keeping that in.
Spontaneous.
Oh my God.
The note came in and landed on my lap. Couldn't even understand it. It's written in gibberish or something.
You didn't understand it. You didn't understand it. It's not for you.
And you can definitely tell. I really like her performance because it feels very real, very childlike.
This helmet contains our last supply.
Why?
What?
Why?
It was Alexander the Great's way of showing his army that they were all equal. That
It's stupid.
what would you do better?
Instead to give every soldier a little bit.
She's imagining the story that he's telling her. And it's kind of Wizard of Oz-like. The people around the hospital are also the people in this story she's visualizing as he's telling it.
Her English gets better as the movie goes on, and it's shot chronologically. Yeah. At some point, she started picking up Tarsem's Indian accent, and he was like really mad because then he was like, all right, I have to talk to her only through like the Romanian translators. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, you're trying to get a performance out of a 6-year-old actress, but you can't talk to her. Maybe one of the best performances of a child around that age ever.
I don't keep that list, but if someone asks me, I will remember and tell them to watch this movie.
It's just so different than like any other movie I can think of. Usually, you know, the little precocious kid, and it's all very written.
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, and like you can tell it's like there's a 45-year-old writer who's trying to make, the kid says this is funny, and this is like, no, they're finding a lot of it along the way. This has to be just the masterclass in getting a performance out of a child. And it's so weird though. It's like, why was he good at that? Like, what's in he's making music videos, and he made a very Seven-like film before this, and he's like, yeah, best performance out of a child ever. Let's do it. All right. And he hasn't done it since. Doesn't seem fun. I don't know that I'd want to do it again, but he did it.
And then apparently he shot her and Lee Pace like kind of behind sheets to try to get a little bit of spontaneity between them. Spontaneous!
What happened with the Black Bandit? I'm sorry.
And they would like rewrite the script based on like things she would say. Often we'll go with a drinking game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if drinking game fits this one. Here's my drug game. Drug game. Drop acid every time there's a new location. Is that
dead?
I don't know. What's the LD50 on acid? You can take a lot of acid before you kill it.
Is it 18 or is it 34?
It might be 34 different countries.
Yeah.
India is like 30 locations. Go watch the movie. They're going
And come back.
They're gonna go watch the movie and come back. So anyway, they didn't do that. They're just gonna keep watching.
Because they can't find it unless...
I'm not selling this. Oh, I don't own it to begin with. So it's Jacob's.
You tell me the story now.
It's not streaming anywhere. I feel that, like, we're in the future now, right? Every movie should be available to stream.
It's rights thing. I mean, this one, literally, like, Netflix put it out on DVD. It is not on Netflix. It's like, did they not have the rights to stream it? Like,
to their own movie.
It's similar in that it was this tiny, low budget, gets like no distribution really, and somebody has to come along and like put their, Netflix presents. So it's funny seeing like David Fincher and Spike Jonze. They're the first two credited on this. David Fincher and Spike Jonze. It's like, yeah, they had absolutely nothing to do with the movie, and so they're like, hey, world, you should see this movie. We said so. And that's,
their name means something.
Go
one day our names will mean something.
Yeah.
And we can lend our names to something.
We're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now.
Jeff and Brett present The Fall.
Jeff and Brett present Spike Jonze and David Fincher present The Fall.
You tell me the story now.
All right, so let's get into the spoiler part. Let's keep talking. Catinca, I forget her last name. Yeah,
Untaru.
She thought Lee Pace was really a paraplegic.
Yeah.
And they maintained this illusion for the entire crew.
Yeah.
Everyone thought Lee Pace could not walk, and he's shooting. So in the frame tale, you've got the hospital story he's telling her, and it's through her eyes that we see this fantastical.
Tell me, Alexandria, do you read English?
You always stop at the same part when it's very beautiful.
The whole hospital shot, everyone thinks he's in a wheelchair. And then he's telling stories about being depressed. He's like in South Africa. The crew's going off having a party, and he can't go. He was talking about he went to a party in South Africa, and he has to be in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And they're like wheeling him in the back of to get into the like ballroom or something. And he's like, I looked over, and there's 4 women, like, attractive women, look over at him, and he's like having to be wheeled in, and they're like, look away. Really? We had to do this just to maintain the illusion so that she would react accordingly.
Total method actor.
Oh my god. It didn't seem like it was his idea, though.
No.
So story of the film, do you want to give us a synopsis?
You tell me the story now.
The title sequence is him falling after a movie stunt. And this is 1915, so it's black and white. He ends up in this hospital with this 6-year-old girl, Alexandria. She has also fallen, I think, picking oranges. You can tell.
Is it her, it's her left arm. Is it her left arm?
Yes. She carries around this little box of mementos just like this. It's very cute. She loves throwing oranges at priests.
Who doesn't?
Even the priest knows, but everyone loves her. She's this cute little girl. Her name is Alexandria, like Alexander the Great. And he starts spinning this yarn to her.
In the frame tale, he's like telling her stories, and he has various motives for doing this at different times. But we see her perspective. But there's a thing where they deliver ice to the hospital, and she like licks it, and then later like somebody,
one of the bad guys,
licking a block of ice in the desert comes up. So
she imagines her dad as the bandit, the hero of the story in the fantasy,
up until the point where she tells him that her dad's dead. What?
And then Lee Pace's Roy becomes
takes
the bandit.
Yeah.
Very little was known about the gap-toothed masked bandit.
Like my father?
Yes, your father.
Why he speaks like this?
Because he's your father.
But my father is dead.
What? Okay, how do you want him to speak?
Normal, like you.
I'm stronger now.
Well, my favorite is he's like telling her about the band of bandits, and there's an Indian, and he means a Native American, and he uses words like wigwam, but she doesn't know what those words are. Yeah, so she puts in an Indian when he means Native American.
Yep.
And if you're really paying attention, I remember I wrote down, I was like, wigwam? Wait a minute. And like the whole set, it's like all set in India, and it's all because of that misunderstanding. We're like 14 minutes into the synopsis of the film, and we're talking about
Buffalo Bills.
Bill. Keep going. Synopsis. I'll not interrupt.
Where even was I? He's spinning this fantasy yarn for her. She imagines it in her head. There's a princess.
I'm gonna just cut you off there. He is maybe paralyzed.
Yes.
He's a stuntman, and he's maybe paralyzed, and so he is gaining her confidence, and it's very like sort of a love story. Crushed. They talk a lot on the commentary about how it's a love story between a man and a child, and I'm like, maybe be careful about how you say that.
When was that? When was that commentary?
I think the commentary is recorded pretty soon after it was in theaters, before they realized the movie flopped, because there various times they mentioned like Tarsem is so smart. He did this and this and this because the studios wanted that, and I was like, yeah, but then he lost like $30 million on the movie, so maybe not.
Did you find out how much it cost?
$30 million is the budget, and it box office was $3. Yeah. So he's gaining her confidence so that he can get her to go steal some drugs for him so that he can commit suicide. I'm gonna be paralyzed. I'm gonna kill myself, but I can't walk to go get the pills.
I'm a stunt man. I can't do stunts anymore.
Yeah. So it's a story ultimately of like man in despair. Also, then we find out his girlfriend, who's an actress, is leaving him for the like I think the dude who he's the stunt man for, the like the actor he's stunt manning.
Yeah.
Stunting. His suicide doesn't work, and he sort of decides to live, mostly because she's so cute and inspires him to live.
Well,
the story.
Yeah, I mean, there is a cute little, and it happened in real life with the actress. She thought, because he spells out morphine for her, and he's like, "Do you know what this?"
MORPHIN 3, which is just an accident.
Yeah, it's an accident, and so when she does get the morphine, secrets it away, brings it back, she dumps all the pills out except for 3 of them. That's not enough to kill you.
In the script, she just brings a small bottle, and it's just not enough to kill him. And in shooting it, she read the way he wrote an E, which was, just wrong. She read that as a 3, and they're like, oh, it's more interesting that she gets a full bottle and empties it.
Where did you put the pills, the rest of them?
I threw them in the toilet. It's great.
There's only 3 in here.
You asked me for 3.
No, I asked you for a full bottle.
But you wrote that.
Was this bottle full of pills?
3.
Were there more pills in here?
Yeah.
What did you do with them?
I threw them in toilet.
She's so good, and it's. I'm like, oh man, she has to be a good actress, and she's not been really in anything. She's been in like a couple of short films.
She's 25 now, and that really kind of.
Oh, are you old? Well, you saw it when it came out, so that makes you feel old. I saw it a week ago. So. The whole time, though, I thought she looks just like my cousin, and I have a photo. This is my cousin.
Holy!
I was like, this is my cousin. But I was like, maybe I'll have her come over, and I'll tell Brad. I got Catinca here, and I'll tell her to just do a Romanian accent.
He needs to sleep.
But he can't. He needs medicine to sleep. But he doesn't have any. That's the problem.
Tarsem was talking about the hospital scenes versus the fantasy world. He said, quote, if the hospital doesn't work, this is just a big wank about the fantasy. You have to care about it. Alfred Hitchcock said, you can thrill an audience with a dull conversation if you just show a ticking bomb under the table. And he was like, I just want to get you to really care about the dull conversation first before I show you the ticking bomb. You're playing on hard mode is what you're doing with your own money. Like, yeah, that's a good idea. And it works.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do it when it's the movie that you're bankrolling yourself.
He said he financed this because he was saving for marriage, and then
his lady dumped him.
And so he's like, oh, what am I going to do?
Sooner or later, she's going to leave him for a richer man.
It's a trap.
I understand.
I don't like it.
The story world is just so cinematic, just so visual, and then the hospital is so not. Like a little bit, I guess. There are times when it was Wes Anderson-y.
In all, there were 5 of them. They had only one thing in common: a hatred of Governor Odious.
There's some truck shots. Yeah. Which truck is maybe the least known of the types of shot. Movement, you got your dolly and you got your pan, zoom, tilt, truck. Most people don't know that one. It's basically like a dolly, but it's side to side. So the camera just slides. Okay. Film studies minor.
I did try to do one of those in my own short film in college.
When Roy starts killing off all the characters, they're trying to make you believe that the movie might actually kill him off. And so when he's killing off the characters in the story, I noticed the way they all die by suicide. They all like make sacrifice. They sacrifice themselves.
Oh yeah.
There's the Luigi does a terrorist suicide bombing. There's the cutting the rope, and taking the bad guys with you, and then there's the I'm a human shield for arrows.
Why are they killing the Mystic? We need to go help him.
That seems to be green screen, but I guess it's not. When he
I said no green screen.
falls, like a bed of nails.
Maybe not green screen, but
Maybe a different color screen.
maybe there's a wire holding him up. That's
Yeah.
green. It's a green wire.
A green wire, yes.
He's killing off all his characters, but with heroic suicides, essentially.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's really building up suicide. He's really like glorifying the sacrifice. And it's like, does Roy think he's saving everyone by killing himself? It's like he really sees himself as this burden on everyone. Window into the thoughts of a suicidal person. It's like,
Yeah, and
in this fun film for children.
That's the most emotional, and I wonder, because there's essentially two kind of big scenes, one in the hospital, one in the fantasy, where she's like kind of freaking out, like,
Right.
don't do it, don't do it, Roy. In the real world, she's like, why are you killing all the characters? And she's really like pretty upset, and knowing what I know of her being just some kid, that's really good. I don't know how they got those reactions from her, and I don't really want to know.
No. No. We're killing everybody.
There's some in there about like, she thinks he's really a paraplegic, and there's all these things like she's just reacting to a lot of stuff. Like she doesn't know what the story's doing. She's just reacting. And it's like, what are they telling her before you roll on this scene exactly?
Right,
I don't understand.
It's kind of like in The Shining when Kubrick, like, Danny didn't know about all this creepy shit going on. This is like the opposite, I guess. Like, we need you to cry on screen now. We're going to tell you your mom died.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they did it.
Maybe it was when she was auditioning and she needed to like cry in a scene, and she's like, I want my mom to leave. Like, I don't want my mom to see me cry. I was like, this is a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
This is incredible. The toe touching scene. So he's having her touch his toes. They're trying to... I'll just put the fucking scene in here and explain it.
I'm touching your little toe.
No, please don't tell me which toe you're touching. I gotta guess. You're touching my big toe?
Mm-hmm.
Are you telling the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Were you telling the truth just now?
Yeah, no. I was telling the truth.
She breaks character. He says, Catinca, are you lying right now? Like, he says her real name, and so she's like, thinks she really screwed up or is really in trouble.
No, you just said no. You weren't telling the truth.
No, I tell it.
Were you telling the truth?
Yeah.
When you just touched my toe?
And then the scene where I think he wakes up after having taken hopefully a suicidal amount. He wakes up, realizes he has not died, and he flips out and like throws the sheet and is like mad at the doctors. And it's like, all right, you can't blow up and do. There's a lot of stuff going on in that scene. Tarsem is like, all right, we're gonna just go up until the point where you blow up, and I'm gonna cut until we get that opening right. Mm-hmm. They don't want you to like blow up and do all of this 40 times and Catinca lose her shit because she has to like be really scared. And so I think they did it like 17 takes where they are getting right to the point where he's gonna blow up, and it's just, we didn't like that enough. So
that's only half the amount that Fincher shoots. So you know.
True. Finally, he doesn't cut. They keep going. He blows up, and he's really mad, and he's yelling and all that. And Catinca literally pissed herself. She's just standing there peeing her pants, and that's the shot in the movie.
Yeah, she just is standing there, and you're like, why aren't you doing anything?
Tarsem wanted to go again, and he's like, well, but she has to run out of the room because the next shot is her like running through the like courtyard, running away. But ultimately, the nurse was like, okay, I have to get you out because you're peeing your pants. And Tarsem's like, well, that doesn't match. So let's do it again. And Catinca's like, nope, I'm going home. I'm not doing another take.
Smart girl.
It's like,
clever girl.
The 6-year-old.
Roy!
I thought you did. Said the man and they were carrying the body away.
I bring you more medicine if you want. I promise
giving
I'll
him
not
sugar.
come, but when I finish...
I brought your x-rays. Hey, you want to take a look?
man's dead and you're...
Hey, Roy.
Will you shut up, Roy? You shut up! Get out of here! You're not really sick, Wolf! Give me your... They're feeding you sugar! Hey!
She's wet herself. Get her out of here! How dare you!
This is why it's so hard to deal with a 6-year-old. But god damn it, it's so good in this film.
Yeah, you're not supposed to shoot with children or animals because they are just chaos on a film set.
What about children animals?
There is actually a shot in the movie that I also recreated in one of my short films.
After you saw it, you're recreating
After I
it?
saw it, it was when she's closing her eyes, alternating, and it kind of adjusts the angle.
Parallax?
Yeah, and I knew I could get away with it. No one saw this movie. Well, no one saw that movie either that I made. So, except my college teacher.
Tarsem said, "I wouldn't say I'm original, but the sources that inspire me are alien to everyone else, so I seem original." That's exactly what you were saying. Yeah, this and The Cell, which I watched.
Yeah.
So many things are like, oh, this is this piece of art. This is this art installation. This is from this music video from 30 years ago. It's like he's referencing lots and lots of things.
Yeah, like the cover is a Salvador Dali painting.
In The Cell, there's a thing with a horse. Have you seen The Cell lately? Yeah.
Not lately, but
yeah, and that's,
you can never forget that.
That's just like an art installation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all right. There's a part in The Cell where I don't know how to describe it. We'll just show it to you, I guess. It's easier.
I plan on rewatching The Cell, but again, that's nowhere to be found. You can't stream that either.
So the magic goes away when you're like, oh, well, that's this painting, or oh, that's this shot from this film. But if you don't know those things, it's like, who the fuck thought of this?
When you reference unknown things, the costumes in the fall are designed. Yeah, they're amazing. Designed by Eiko Ishioka, who won an Oscar for Coppola's Dracula movie. There's another movie that all the visual effects are done in camera.
Yeah,
like the old movies.
Weird like miniature. There's like the train. It's just like in miniatures, and there's lots of there's a lot of like weird practical effects on that. Interesting to look at. I don't know if the movie was that great, but they reused. So in that Dracula, the like weird armor, the like red armor, it gets reused in The Cell as the weird bodysuits they wear when they're plugging into dreams. I wrote down it's the boyhood of location scouting. That was the line I was looking for earlier. The boyhood of location scouting. The villains looking like the X-ray. The X-ray dude.
And they make sounds like dogs and hyenas.
She doesn't know what they look like, I guess.
Yeah. Governor Odious.
Is that any worse than General Grievous? Roy fails at killing himself. And then Catinca / Alexandria falls. Another fall.
Yeah.
This is trying to get more pills and steps on a pill bottle, and she's already got a broken arm and hits her head, and then it gets real crazy.
Then we go into like a 1990s Tool video.
Yeah.
It's all stop motion. And
which video is that? Stink Fist?
Stink Fist or Prison Sex.
Right. Apparently one of the dolls in that she's seen holding earlier in the film, so we're in her brain.
The movie is very layered with like repetitive visuals and actors and actresses.
Right. I mean, it reminds me of like Eternal Sunshine a little bit, where it's like when you're in the dream and and there's elements interacting. It's Eternal Sunshine meets
Wizard of Oz.
I wrote Eternal Sunshine meets El Topo. So finish the film. What happens at the end?
What happens at the end? That's a good question. It kind of all falls apart. God, I just watched it last night.
You can't stop there.
So we kind of start finding out like, oh, this is how her dad died, I think.
Yeah.
And Roy is like at her bedside when she wakes up, and now it seems he has the will to live now.
Get out of there!
I can't get up! For God's sake, the water's only waist high.
I'm not your father.
Help! Medic! Look at him! He's a drug addict! Your father is a coward!
He can't win. That's because our masked bandit's a coward. A fake, he's a liar and a coward.
You're lying.
No. He had his fingers crossed.
You do realize it was all a test to see if you truly loved me, don't you?
I'm not feeling very well.
And then they have a screening of the film.
And then that's when the fantasy and real world really collide because Alexandria / Catinca like sneezes and his princess girlfriend also sneezes in the fantasy world, and it's like back and forth.
Once I was Lady Evelyn Everest Everhart. Now I'm like a cop.
Sister Evelyn.
She's not a sister.
Bless you. No, what? Yes, she is.
She doesn't have brothers and sisters.
No, she's a nun.
So does that mean she's the love interest in this story? Is it a love
I don't
story?
wanna
Who's got a crush on who? I mean, they talk a lot in these commentaries. Like,
yeah,
she has a crush on him.
It's not time to sleep. Wake up. It's not a time to sleep now. Wake up. Laugh, laugh. Not the time to sleep.
They screened the film that he was injured making.
Yes.
And for all these children in the hospital who've never seen a movie.
But
they're not necessarily going to say, hey, none of these kids have ever seen a film before.
But they're all on their faces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's 1915. That's when we see the Native American who...
Yeah, that's when we realize that. We see his stunt that's gone wrong. He's like so excited to see. He's like, oh, this is going to be the great stunt. And it's just nothing. It's just like,
it's pretty
this
basic.
was useless. Like,
yeah.
It just like makes you think of like any actor who was just so excited they were in a film. And then I was like, yeah. And then you go see it in the theater and they're like, oh, they cut my character out almost completely. All right.
He got Terrence Malick there.
Yeah. Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of trash we're going to be making now. People jumping off buildings. That was it? That was his big stunt?
It becomes just this like homage to stunt work in Hollywood. I think it's Alexandria's mother. Somebody tells her like, oh, and anytime you see a stunt in a movie, that's him because he's gotten better and he's now the stunt man. And so we're seeing all these like classic,
like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin.
It becomes this like homage to like early stunt work, which it should have been called. Here's my title for the film. You ready? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The movie opens Once Upon a Time. Los Angeles.
In Los
that's
Angeles,
what it says.
yeah.
And then it's all about stuntmen.
My mother told me that he plays now in pictures and he does things that other actors cannot do. I didn't believe my mother, but then I saw him. Because I know that Troy is making all the falling and hitting and climbing, and he was on a stair and he was going up and down and up and down. From the bicycle and from a big house. It was Wallace. He was falling with a rope and he was hit and he was going mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
We spend the whole movie in her imagination, or not the whole movie. We spend most of this like frame tale in her imagination. She's never seen a movie before, and this like pre-cinematic imagination. Because then we see her see a movie, and so they're like juxtaposing like, look at how great it was to look at, and now she's seeing this like crappy black and white, jumpy,
flickers around
clunky,
the screen, film grain.
Yeah, it's just like. Is it saying something about like imagination versus film? And like, what was your imagination like if you'd never seen a movie? Is it have movies stolen our imagination from us?
Yeah.
One of those things that's like, yeah, you're not gonna think that when you're watching the movie, but when someone says it in a commentary, like, oh, That's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, like when you're telling a story to your friends, like how are they imagining it too?
It's like a movie. Well, Lee Pace responds to that by going like, "Yeah, I think I remember stuff in coverage and like shot reverse shot." It's like I think that's how my memories work.
Yeah.
In that scene in the theater, they're sitting there. Lee Pace has a dog on his lap, and the dog got her period on him. Fun fact. And he's like, "There's blood all over me." And the like handler or the like dog owner, he's like, "This dog's getting her period. Can we do something?" And the owner's like, "No, it's not." He's like, "It's bleeding all over me." He's like, "That's not from the dog." It's like, what? Oh my god.
Oh, and
so
they
fun.
kill a fucking monkey.
They kill the monkey. We didn't talk about the monkey.
In the fantasy world.
That was maybe the saddest part of the film. Is when they killed the monkey.
I have recommended this movie to a lot of people, and then I rewatched it again.
And you went, oh.
And then I was like, oh, I should resend that to recommendation.
A lot of monkey fans.
Your animal fans.
I mean, it's just catch up.
That's how I look at movies. It's all fake. And then I watch the movies FX about the special effects guy. I think there's like a murder.
You watch Seven and you're like, "Can I dip my fries in that?" And your parents are like, "All right, that's enough with the ketchup analogy." All right. Anything you'd change about the film? Anything you're like, "Oh, I don't know about that."
Don't kill that monkey.
I think kill the monkey. I'm on the side of kill the monkey.
Wallace, will you come down? Wallace!
He's killing everyone. He's trying to justify his own suicide. If anything, I feel like Darwin is underused. Like one of the characters we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about. We got
Darwin.
Otto Benga, who was like put in zoos in like I think London or New York. African tribesmen. We're gonna put him in the zoo. Like this is something that was happening at the time in like the teens.
Heartbroken at his brother's death, he freed the slaves and swore that he would be responsible for Governor Odious' death.
Darwin's a character because the Darwin versus Wallace. It's the name of the monkey in the film.
Yeah, and as an homage to
like,
both Wallace and Darwin at the same time came up with evolution.
Right. I think that must have been in the zeitgeist of the teens as like, oh, the battle of who really should have got the credit for that.
Yeah.
I would say though, I think Darwin's kind of underutilized as a character.
Yeah, he is.
It's like, why is that Darwin?
Cool
the
costume, peacock coat.
Yeah, I have a question. What prop do you want to keep from the film? Well, it's that coat.
That coat?
I don't know what else you would even put in there.
Man, I don't know. The bandit suit is really cool.
You like the bandit? Luigi, the explosives guy.
What about the bomb?
What?
The
bomb! I wanted that to be Jim Broadbent.
Yes, he would have been perfect.
The second assistant director broke her arm during the title sequence, falling off one of the little bridges. There's a shot where a dude falls off a horse. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that looks like that dude just broke his back.
Yes. And it's in slow motion, and I still cringe when I see it.
Apparently, that dude just popped right up and was like, "Did we get it?" It's like, he was fine. It's like, fuck. What is this movie about? It's like, oh yeah, it's really about stuntmen. And we didn't even mention he has a friend. Roy has a friend who's like an actor who is missing a leg.
Yeah.
And it's like, he gets all this work now. It's like, oh, it's great if you lose a leg because now I'm a pirate or I get my leg blown off in this.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of acting. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because they can't CGI it out in 1915.
That's right. No Lieutenant Dan for them.
Hacked off by savages, wrangled by chariots, sawed off by lumberjacks. Hell, I've even had a harpoon through it. I'm working all the time.
Was your friend a pirate?
And Alexandria / Catinca does think he's a pirate. What do you mean, a pirate? Your friend with one leg.
I don't like pirate stories. You asked for a pirate story. You're like, no, I didn't.
So the Buccaneers were trapped on this island.
What means a buccaneer?
Well, it's like a pirate.
But I don't like pirate stories.
You're the one who asked for a pirate story.
No.
Yes, you did.
I just wanted to know if your friend was a pirate.
That's just Tarsem talking, because he also hates pirate stories. And Yo Ho Ho, the Bulgarian film this is based on, which I haven't watched, but I'm reading it, it's like, this synopsis is the identical film. It's like, it's a little boy, I think, but two people in a hospital, frame tale. All these elements are like the same. There's an explosives expert, but he's called a artillery man or something. It's like there's
Mario.
so many elements. Are like these are exactly the same. Apparently, it's not so fun to look at. I mean, compared to this, just about anything is. And it's a pirate movie. Ultimately, it's called Yo Ho Ho.
No pirates.
And he was like, no pirates. I don't want pirates. So this is a remake with no pirates.
3 дни по-късно събитията се развиха.
И как не могли?
Така, не могли. И след кратка борба...
Другарю Костов, на телефона.
Tarsem had a quote, "Be American, look busy, do nothing." 13 minutes into the film, there's a shot, they're all going to bed in the hospital, the little kids. Mm-hmm. Apparently one of the little boys, who's just supposed to be sleeping, would not stop playing with himself. And his bed is shaking. And Tarsem was talking about, that was trouble to shoot around. Elephants swim.
Yes, that seems great.
But here's a fun fact. When elephants first get in the water, it just makes them poop nonstop. Basketball-sized poops for a good 10-15 minutes. So you have to all right, everyone, action. All right, we got 15 minutes to kill before we can actually shoot this.
That's when you set up the shot, when the elephant is in the water.
Everyone back to one.
Pooping.
Get the basketballs. What was this film rated? Do you remember?
I mean, it's got to be rated R because there's blood and not much though, right? There's an entire sheet of blood, but it's more a visual than it is grotesque.
Yeah, there's one shot of cloth soaking in blood.
Yeah,
it got R for that, which is just absurd. It's ridiculous. At most, it should be PG-13. Even that, I'm like,
I don't think there's even any cursing. There's no nudity.
This does seem, in a lot of ways, like a kid's movie. It's the themes and suicide and stuff. Sure, that's not. But overall, this is not. Temple of Doom is worse than this. Good lord. Yeah, that's PG-13. But bloody cloth you can't do that.
It's stupid.
How many countries can you name that was shot in? What do you got? Let's start naming them.
India. South Africa, obviously. Yep. That's where the hospital/mental asylum is.
Yep.
Probably Malaysia.
I don't think so.
No. Anything in China, Vietnam, Cambodia.
China's a yes. Vietnam's a no. Cambodia, yes.
Anything in Japan?
These are your no's. These are your yeses. Japan, I think, is a no.
This
list is not that long, though.
That's where the costume designer was from.
That is true. And she's pretty incredible. And she seems to be a good 30% of the credit he gets for wow, your movies are pretty is a lot of it's the costumes. A lot of it is.
They're otherworldly, yeah. Russia, pretty big.
I don't have Russia on this list. Not going super
Not super well.
This is where the points come in.
Thailand?
I think that's a no.
Give me a region. Are we thinking more?
Oh my god!
Middle
all
East
the regions
now?
are still up for grabs. all of the regions.
Okay. Pakistan.
No.
Kazakhstan.
No.
Any in Europe?
Yes.
Oh, of course they go to France. We see the Eiffel Tower.
They go to France
for a few seconds.
Yes, indeed. And post-production was done in France. A lot of the that green wire that was in France.
That is one thing I would change about the movie. I would change him falling on the arrows so it wouldn't look so fake.
Oh my god.
How they would shoot it.
Your big critique of the fall is the special effects weren't good.
Ukraine.
No.
Germany.
No.
Well, you said Bulgaria from earlier. Yo ha ha.
Yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho.
It's a pirate.
Yep.
But it's written because in Bulgaria they use Cyrillic, so it's spelled like this. Yo ho ho. That's what's
no zozo.
I took Russian.
Korea.
No.
Spain.
Yes.
Portugal.
Spain. No.
Did they go to Italy? I mean.
Yes.
Okay.
I have 9 more. You're not even halfway.
Do they shoot in Catinca's home country of Romania?
Romania? Nope, they do not.
No, they don't.
Also, you mentioned Bulgaria, and I didn't write that down. To be fair, the opening music recorded by the Bulgarian Symphony. So does that count?
No.
It doesn't count. Okay. This list doesn't include the United States. And I'm like, surely they shot some of it in the United States.
Austria?
No.
Nothing in Australia or New Zealand, right? No. Indonesia? Anything there?
Yes. You've run out of room for wrong. I think you're out of wrong.
I can't get any
One
more wrong.
and you're done. All right.
It kind of adds to the otherworldliness that a lot of this is set in countries that Americans just don't know.
Countries such as England.
Yes. Yeah. Is there an English England? That's a big one.
Yeah. So here's the full list. South Africa, India, Namibia, Fiji, Argentina, Spain, Czechia, Turkey, Bali, Egypt, China, Italy, France, Brazil, England, Indonesia, the United Arab Emirates, and presumably the United States.
So there's...
And some sources say 34. I'm like, where else are you counting? Good Lord. I know this isn't in this list. I noticed in the credits they say Chile.
Introducing Taco Bell's latest work of art. $1 queso beef nachos. Seasoned beef boldly topped with our new zesty queso. Another $1 masterpiece, only at Taco Bell.
Ball sack on face. So Lee Pace, his first film is called Soldier's Girl. He plays a transgender performer or a drag performer, something like that. It's like a military don't ask, don't tell story. Tarsem said he believed so much that Lee Pace was a woman that when he's like, I want him, I want them. And when Lee Pace came to audition, he had one question for him. If this is the correct answer to this question, you're hired.
What kind of junk do you have? Yeah.
The question was, do you have a penis? And he said, yes. He said, you're hired. Best job interview in history. Way to go, dudes.
Oh.
Men stuff. You got a penis? You're hired. Because he played a trans woman so well. He was like, all right. So is that sexual harassment? Is that a Me Too?
I mean, Lee Pace is a very handsome,
Lee Pace is
pretty man.
He's great. He is gay or bisexual. He's
married
to a man.
He's a very gay man. Yes.
Halt and Catch Fire. You haven't seen? That was my first exposure to Lee Pace.
I plan on seeing it. Yeah.
I think it's really good. Yeah. Reminds me of For All Mankind, which you are currently watching, or you
currently finished.
You finished it. Similar in a bunch of ways to For All Mankind. It's like first season, I was like, all right, we're in 1984, and it's about inventing the laptop. And then season 2, it's like, all right, now it's 1990, and it's like following like technology and different periods of time. And Lee Pace is great.
Why don't you go blow dry your hair some more?
Reverse engineer an IBM PC with me. I want to build a computer that nobody else has the balls to build.
Are you out of your mind? Worst case scenario, IBM sues us into the ground.
Please tell me that you didn't buy all this?
I was brought up to believe that the things we built were the singular contributions to computers that history would remember. But I saw it. The future. The reason we're here in the first place. But now, it's our turn.
Back to
the fall.
Apparently, Hollywood said to him, "Oh, you're making this. It's like The Princess Bride. All right, make sure it's a PG, and we'll fund this." And he was like, "Nope, I want to do this." And he's like, "Oh, we're not interested if it's not PG." And he's like, "Nope, don't want to do that."
There is some blood in it. That's it.
It's the blood. Is that really that dark? That's so dumb that I got an R for that. He probably could have fought it, or if it was like a studio behind him, it wouldn't have been R.
I mean, back around this time, I watched the documentary, This Film Is Not Rated. Is that what it's called?
Not yet. The
MPAA,
yes.
How they rate films, and it's like the secret of society.
He's like following them to like a Mexican restaurant. Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
It's a little bit creepy.
And they don't like any kind of sex because they're puritanical monsters.
You can have like all kinds of murder porn,
decapitation.
Oh, we're gonna skin this woman alive, but if you show a woman having an orgasm, that's not allowed.
If you show an erect penis, X.
Yes.
Immediate X.
A ball sack on face.
You know, most people will probably have sex in this, but they probably won't murder anyone.
So Tarsem, starting in 1990, music videos, Losing My Religion.
That's a big one.
First film, The Cell, 2000. The Fall, 06. The next movie is not till 2011. So he made The Cell and then spent 11 years not working in Hollywood. Like, The Fall is not working in Hollywood. It's crazy. The Cell, how do you watch The Cell and not go, let's get this guy to direct things? That's crazy.
Yeah.
These girls were kidnapped, tortured, and murdered.
He keeps them in this thing for about 40 hours.
After 40 hours, the water starts, and it doesn't stop.
There is a girl that is missing. Her name is Julia Hickson.
If he was conscious, do you think that he would tell you where she is?
You bring in this monster, and you're asking her to go into that mine.
Where's Julia Hickson?
No thanks.
So The Immortals, I haven't seen it. I started watching it and I got bored.
It's very visually beautiful. I saw it in theaters, and
I was like, it's 300, I guess.
It is 300. It was kind of
around that time.
And kind of trying to capture that zeitgeist of like mythological movies.
Yeah.
Like Clash of the Titans. And Immortals has Henry Cavill in it.
Yeah.
Future Superman.
Mirror, Mirror, a take on Snow White with Julia Roberts. It's like, what?
And then no one watched it.
And no one watched that. And then Selfless, where Ryan Reynolds
I never saw this
gets
one.
like body swapped.
Or maybe I did.
It's like a Jason Bourne. It's like Ryan Reynolds is Jason Bourne, but then because he's poor, some old dying person has his consciousness downloaded into Ryan Reynolds' young, tight body. But he's actually like Jason Bourne and has like powers, and it's not at all like fun to look at. And Tarsem was like, I'm getting pegged as like the fantasy guy. So that was his try at that, and then he hasn't really worked.
Yeah, that was almost
on
10
film since then.
That was almost 10 years ago.
He worked on a Wizard of Oz TV show, Emerald City.
Oh, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
And then he has a film that's in post-production, expected this year. So we'll see. It's called Dear Jassy, and I think it's made in India. He seems very jaded about Hollywood, which, I mean, we all should be, really. If you're not Tom Cruise, you should be pretty jaded. Like, The Cell is amazing to look at.
Yeah, it's a pretty wonderful movie.
The Fall, even better. And you see those two movies and go, like, this guy should absolutely be making a movie a year. And instead, Hollywood's like, we don't know what to do with you. Go make Pepsi commercials. So in 2017, he made Masterpieces Potato Burrito, Masterpieces Queso Beef Nachos. These are Taco Bell commercials. On his wiki, it lists these commercials. These commercials have titles? I don't understand that, really.
They've got to categorize them somehow.
They have it's like Pepsi 2016, The Desert, Masterpieces, Queso Beef Nachos. That's what he's working on.
There's so many geniuses out there that don't get their due.
They really are. That's what this series is about. Dear Jassy, Jassi, quote, "It's my passion project. I believe this is the right time for the world to see it."
His second passion project,
yeah,
because the first one was this one.
Because if you see like interviews and stuff with him, I had my passion project. It lost me personally $30 million, and now I make commercials, and that's what I do now.
I wish I could just make and lose $30 million.
It'd be nice. There's a lot of criticism of him that it's all style, no substance. You see that if you look up.
I can see that in The Cell, but not The Fall.
If anything, I think The Fall gets that criticism more than The Cell, which to me, it's just a lazy critique. It's like, is 2001: A Space Odyssey all style and no substance? If you're on your phone, you're not going to get much out of it. You have to engage with it. It's not going to spoon feed you. You know, there's movies where if you're on your phone and you're just kind of taking it in as the third thing in your consciousness, where it's like, this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and it's like, that's a lot of things. And there are other movies where, like, if you were watching The Fall and not paying attention, you'd be like, nothing happened in that movie. There's like, I don't know, people talking.
I
guess, if you weren't paying attention,
running,
it doesn't seem like a lot happened, but it does. You have to engage with it.
Yeah, it does take you on a journey. There really needs to be a resurgence of it. They need to release it in theaters again. again or something, because that's the best way
We're
to watch
doing it right now.
We're doing it
We're doing it. I have 307 subscribers.
And they will all watch The Fall.
None of them will, but they'll watch this. So. When Tarsem was trying to get into film school, he couldn't get in until he used a fake ID with a white person name. It was Randy Marsh.
Oh man, that's good.
The dad in South Park.
Yeah, that's
good.
good.
I was like, I have to rewind this interview. Did he just say Randy Marsh? Yes, that was the name on his fake ID.
That's
Quote, a degree in film is toilet paper.
A degree in anything.
Pretty much. It depends. It depends.
Probably not medicine. That's very Spielbergian, I guess. Like Spielberg, like went onto a movie set and kind of bluffed his way.
Oh yeah. He's just like, this office is mine now. I work in here. Yeah. One of the lessons from his first professional film shoot, The Losing My Religion. Just because you have a tool doesn't mean you have to use it. Which was, he's like, oh, I've got a dolly and I've got a crane and I've got all these things. I must use them. And this is, I guess you've done more film school than me, some practical stuff. Where it's like, every tool you have, if, oh, I've got that lens, I need to use that. If I've got a dolly, I got to use that. It's like, is that really going to get you the best result?
Keep with your vision and execute it how you can.
No, I have a drone, though. I got to use the drone. The Cell. Let's talk about The Cell. Being John Malkovich meets Seven.
Yeah, that's about right.
I wish it was like 30 minutes longer. You've got the, I guess, frame tale of there's a serial killer, there's a woman in a cell that's gonna flood with water. There's your ticking clock. It's like that's a pretty interesting like ticking clock. And then it's like we got to find out where that is so we can save the woman that was abducted. And then we go into his dreams and try to get the information, sort of like an Inception prequel.
Sure.
I just feel like we're missing a good 30 minutes of develop. A lot of the things are like, all right, we found a clue and now we're done. We get this. Oh, this clue, we got him. We needed some twists and turns along the way, and they were like, no, this movie's an hour and 40 minutes. We can't. 7 is 30 minutes longer.
Movies should be shorter sometimes.
Bad movies should be shorter.
Of the 10 Best Picture nominees this year, only 2 of them are less than 2 hours.
Yeah. This is one of my pet peeves. Like as a writer, if as a nobody, which I am, trying to like get into contests or to send to like management companies or whatever. If it's more than 100 pages, it's, oh, you don't know what you're doing, because they want a 90-minute tight package, and it's like, what movies are there that are 90-page scripts? They're 80 minutes long.
Only horror movies now, right?
There are like great
90s.
movies are like 160-page scripts, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, you don't get that much. You get 100 because we're bored. We're gonna not read it. And it's The Cell to me feels like, yep, we trimmed too much. It's like 7, I looked it up. The script for 7 is 156 pages long. And if you were to turn in a 146-page script to a contest or something, you'd almost get disqualified. Just like, we can't. No, over 140 is disqualified. I'm not joking. That's true. Like some contests will say that. We're trying, writers on the outside trying to break in are like mimicking film. No, it needs to be this 80-minute thing. That's just me being a jaded, failed screenwriter. Being Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I hadn't seen it. I just watched it a few days ago, and I'm like, I know as I'm watching it, like, this is imprinting on my brain. I'm not forgetting this movie.
Exactly, that when that horse comes apart.
Sure, yeah. Just some of the Vincent D'Onofrio stuff of him being the serial killer, very, very memorable.
Yeah.
And the water filling the cell. I don't know that it was great, but it's memorable.
Yeah.
You're not forgetting that. I thought, I was like, all right, there's dreams. We're going to the dreams to get the information out. That's going to be the Tarsem stuff. I was surprised how much there was of the like police procedural hunting a serial killer. There's a lot more of that than I was expecting. I thought it'd be like, all right, set up, we need the information now. Very deep psychological exploration and it wasn't really that much. I don't know about Vince Vaughn though. Vince Vaughn rubs me weird in that movie. I was like, is he doing a bit? Is he doing a noir thing that no one else knows? He seems like he's in a different movie.
If we can't stop him, he ain't gonna stop himself.
That's back when
he's overacting the shit out of it. Something's going on with Vince Vaughn.
That is back when he was more of a character actor, right? Like when he did the shot-for-shot Psycho.
Yeah. I mean, I love Swingers.
Yeah, and he was in
Jurassic Park.
He was in The Lost World.
2.
Yeah, right. wanted to read the Roger Ebert. His quote was like,
"You should watch this because it exists."
Yeah,
something like that. It's like climbing Everest. Why'd you have to climb it? Because it's there.
Yep.
Because it's the boyhood of locations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling very well.
Am I a hipster? Do you think I'm a hipster?
I don't know.
Everybody calls me a hipster.
You haven't,
I don't know that I fit.
You haven't seen Banshees of Inisherin, so
So
I'm
you
not
can't
sure.
be a
I don't
hipster,
think
don't
so.
you? So I looked up a definition on Google of a hipster. A ball sack on face. I'm not knocking it off because of the ant bully.
Don't even know what
That's
that is.
101. Made $55 million.
Wow.
$3 million.
Poor the fool.
We're all hipsters now.
All of these
'cause we
movies.
appreciate a film that no one fucking watched. Instead, they went to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: the beginning.
It's stupid.
I think
that relationship didn't work out because of Mel Gibson. God damn it.
That's not enough to kill you.
You can't stop there.